This is the Alabama Orthopedic Clinic D1 Training High School Football Preview Show.
Week five,
you do the math.
6, yeah. It's let's see, 3. Yeah, it must be week 6. So
Okay.
one team's 3 and 2. So yeah, that would be 6.
We got that week 0 that messes everybody up.
High school football here on UTV 44. We've got the Fairhope Pirates playing host to the Daphne Trojans tonight here on UTV 44. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan getting ready for our big matchup here tonight in Fairhope, and we've got the chance to look back at the game last week. Went up to Bay Minette. First time we had Baldwin County High School home game on TV. Had both teams that were a little young. Both teams knew they needed it for the playoff race, and I thought you summed it up real well just a moment ago before we came on the air. Said, Blunt kind of grew up on Friday night right in front of us.
You know, it's funny because talking to Lev Holly after the St. Paul's game, he said, you know, we were close, and they were. The score was 11-7. They lost a big game to St. Paul's, and he said, you know, we're young, so here during the rest of the season, what we need to do is we need to grow up. And I think they did. You know, they cleaned a lot of things up. They got a very important region win. And they got it really, Jim, by not doing anything wrong.
Right.
And they slowly pulled away. They made enough offensive plays as things went along. They weren't spectacular, but they were not spectacularly offensive to themselves. You know what I mean? Not a lot of flags, not a lot of jumping, not a lot of fumbles. So good for Blunt. They played well enough. It was great to be in Bay Minette. They rolled out the red carpet, had a great time up there. Big win for Blunt, and off we go here to, I think you say, week 6.
Yeah, we are in Fairhope for a matchup. Fairhope and Daphne, of course, a huge rivalry on the Eastern Shore. Not a region game. Teams stepping out of region. A lot of teams stepping out of region play this week, and that's what we have here tonight on UTV 44. But just because it's a non-region game does not affect the impact of how each side wants this game. We'll talk more about that. Kenny King here, the head coach of the Trojans, and Tim Carter, head coach of the Fairhope Pirates, going to be here with us as well. But right now we got Dr. Grant Shell, who you used to watch him carry the football right back in the...
Yeah, he carried the rock a little bit. Star soccer player at McGill-Tulane Catholic High School back in the 90s. In some sort of walk of honor, I'm sure, but we can get around to that.
Dr. Shell with us.
No comment.
Here talking about some foot injuries. So the one, like you hear high ankle sprain sometimes. You hear that, and that's the no-no. Like if you're a fan or a player, if you're a fan, you don't want to hear it from your favorite player on the team. If you're a player, you don't want to have a doctor tell you that's what you've got. That's the bad one, right?
That's the bad one. You know, the regular ankle sprain, they say there's 25,000 per day in the United States, which is a lot. The regular ankle sprain, you could go back in a week or even the same game, but the high ankle sprain could be 3 to 4 weeks.
That high ankle sprain. So what causes that compared to just the 25,000 other ankle sprains that happen every day?
Well, the high ankle sprain is really a sprain between the smaller bone and the bigger bone, the tibia and fibula in the leg. And so it's kind of more of a tearing of the ligaments versus the regular ankle sprain is really, most of the time it's just a stretch. It's not necessarily a tear, but it just takes longer. The high ankle sprain is always 3 weeks to 4, more mobilization. The low ankle sprain, we get them back in probably about a week.
And as we talk about with all the doctors here, like, so preventative training, strength, what do athletes need to do? And I know this isn't as much of a football injury as maybe you see probably in basketball, other sports, but what do athletes need to do to ward off the high ankle sprain?
Well, flexibility. Number one is warming up. Ankle flexibility, stretching. There's lots of, a lot of stuff they do here at D1, teaches people how to warm up, how to prevent the injuries. And then there's a lot of it is preventative. And after you have an injury, it could be a brace, it could be a lot of rehab, physical therapy, but it's all about warming up and proprioception, which is knowing where your body is in space.
Ice is something I'm sure that you like. What? I used to run a fair amount, and like, did you see the look? Like he was like, "You really?" Like I could read it in your eyes. I get it, but like I just hated to ice any type of injury, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's really the best thing.
Yeah. You know, the most common, the RICE. You hear that: rest, ice, compression, elevation. And most ankle sprains, that takes care of it, unless it's a bad one. And some of these really bad ones do need surgery at times, but most of them do not.
Yeah, we don't want to have to have surgery. We're glad you're here with us, taking care. So, smart guy says 25,000 ankles getting sprained every day.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to take care of those. That's why he's a doctor.
It behooves him to have the numbers.
That's why he's a doctor, and
of course
we're not. All right, thank you so much. Glad to be here. Stay here with us. We'll come back. We'll get you ready for the matchup tonight. Daphne and Fairhope here on UTV 44. We'll talk with Kenny King and CJ Young, wide receiver, the Daphne Trojans, coming up right after this. Another week of high school football here on UTV 44. Daphne traveling, not really a big road trip, just down the road a little bit to take on Fairhope. Daphne and Fairhope tonight here on UTV 44 non-region matchup. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, head coach Kenny King of the Daphne Trojans. CJ Young, we're going to call his name a lot, like I would guess. Coach, I would guess you'd like if we called his name a lot tonight. Means the ball's in his hands a lot tonight,
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. It's kind of up to Kenny whether we call his name a lot.
So big matchup here tonight. I wanted to ask you one thing. So back when you played high school football, there wasn't the bye week, if you will, right? There was no off week. So take us, like, what's a typical off week like? What do you do with your team to give them some time off, yet not let them get away that much from football?
The biggest thing is just trying to come in and get a little bit of work done, but making sure we stay locked in, but start focusing on you. You know, that's what we try to do, is come in and focus on us, try to look at the first few games and see what we need to correct. But going out and working and doing our best at fixing all our mistakes and correcting what we need to correct, and kind of get off the field and let them go enjoy themselves, but make sure they're still locked in on football.
So what did you see when you self-evaluated, Coach? What were you staring at? What was staring back at you?
The biggest thing is the mistakes, you know, busted assignments. You know, we're looking at both sides of the ball, offense, defense. You just see so many busted plays, guys jumping off sides, just the discipline of the team. So we really focused on that during the bye week, and hopefully it'll show tonight.
CJ Young, big part of this Daphne offense, and Dan Brennan, the president of your fan club, as you kind of picked up on very early here.
This is a lot of fun to watch
tonight. So you're a newcomer to Daphne. Your family moved over to Daphne, so you haven't grown up with the Fairhope-Daphne rivalry, all that. But I'm guessing it didn't take long for your teammates to kind of quickly get you up to speed on what this game means, right?
Oh, yes, sir. It means a lot to them, and the students at Daphne and the players there. So I'm just, you know, do what I got to do for them and for the school, and just ball out Friday.
What do you, when you're walking out on we love this, on Friday nights, you'll see us, we have a chance to get on the field early on, around 6 o'clock. Players are coming out, your first warm-ups, if you will. We know the nonsense going through our brains, but what we'd like to do, take us through, what are you guys thinking about maybe an hour before kickoff? What's going through your mind, and is it as simple as your assignment, or is it more than that?
Definitely, it's just assignments, just knowing what we got to do, executing, no false penalties, like no stupid penalties and nothing, just lock in mentally and what we have to do at test, and, you know, just having that mindset to go out and dominate that game. Apparently.
It's got to be a little different for you, too, because like, the defense knows, like, and, you know, sometimes you're a wide receiver and you might get the ball thrown to you 3 or 4 times. Like, the defense knows on every play there's a chance that you might get the football in your hands. You're not catching anybody by surprise when you get the ball out there, are you?
No. I mean, we run the play, we run the bubble like a lot. So like, my teammates though, but I know they got my back, so they're gonna block, they're gonna execute, do what they gotta do, and I'm just make the play every time.
Usually we end up, they see his back,
right?
Because he goes that way. So talk about the defense has been outstanding the last several years. What are the main things you're trying to remedy on offense so that offense can take a little bit of the pressure off that defense? Because you guys have been outstanding on defense.
I was just being consistent. As y'all know, we have some change in coordinators, and again, we brought in Coach Golson from McGill, and he's done a great job, and he's about business, and he put them in the right situation to be successful. So we're excited what we see on offense. It's all about playing fast, taking guys like CJ that can get on the perimeter and make things happen. So going to a fast-paced offense and being electric, we're excited. You know, of course, I'm on the defensive side of the ball, so to run behind those guys, you know, during practice, it's a great competition, and we enjoy it.
Yeah, you're a young quarterback growing up. Like, I mean, there's, you know, you practice reps, and everything, but there's just nothing like those Friday night reps, is there?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, we have a young quarterback in Trent Battle, and you have seen him grow and grow. Of course, we lost our starting quarterback the Wednesday before the first game, and just seeing him grow, you know, seeing him do some great things, and then seeing him in doing the games, looking at him process what you see during the week, during practice, and actually delivering. So, man, you know, of course, we got a young team, man. We see them grow up every day, but we're super excited about what's to come at Daphne.
The non-region game going up against Fairhope, Fairhope a 7A school, you're a 6A school. I mean, when you play a 7A school, do you see, like, what's the big difference you see between a school in 7A compared to a 6A?
I mean, you look at the school. I mean, we look at Fairhope. We play Davidson. I mean, I'm sorry, we play, of course,
yeah,
Theodore.
Yeah.
But you look at those schools, and they're great schools. They're gonna come in and they're gonna play you hard, and you know you have definitely some competition. When you look at Fairhope, they're gonna be fundamentally sound. I mean, they have a great coach in Coach Carter. Like I say, I call him a dear friend. I remember coming to Daphne and calling on him for different things. And again, you know he's going to have those guys in the right place. You know they're going to be playing hard and they're going to be physical. So, you know, playing 7A schools, you know, we feel like we're just a 6A or 7A school. We all play big time football.
Yeah, okay, and pays dividends. Plays a team like this get the playoffs. Like you know, I mean, it's a great builder throughout the year. But we can't wait to get this one started here tonight. CJ, great to meet you, Coach. We'll see you in the last segment. Daphne and Fairhope tonight on UTV 44. We're in the cannon's gonna whether they it's gonna fire at some point. It's gonna scare us like it always happens. And every coach is over I hate that dang cannon. I mean, that's what they usually say. But we'll have more of that coming up as we talk with Tim Carter, head coach of the Fairhope Pirates. That comes up right after this here on UTV 44. That is where we're at here for our pregame show as we get ready for tonight's matchup here on UTV 44. The Fairhope Pirates playing host to the Daphne Trojans, their rivals just to the north. Head coach Tim Carter, quarterback Devin Mitchell with us here tonight as we get ready for this matchup. Coach, last week you had the Thursday night game at Ladd against a Davidson team that I think surprising some people how well they've played. Tough game, then y'all were kind of able to pull away a little bit. That was a big region win for y'all.
A big win for us. You know, Davidson's always very athletic. They've got a lot of the same coaches, so we knew there would be a lot of carryover from Coach Riley's leadership. So, but nothing different. Very physical. They got after it. It was kind of back and forth. We were able to get up on them early, but then they made a little charge at us, and we were able to kind of win it going away in the fourth quarter, but a hard-fought game.
Talk about where your program is now, Coach, and because you've been in the saddle for a while now, and talk about this team in particular, too. The youth on this team and what you've seen in terms of this team getting better or areas where you need to get better.
A great question. I mean, we lost so many kids from a year ago. We had a couple of injuries to guys that were returning defensive starters, but right now we have one guy that started a year on last year's football team. So we're very different on that side of the ball. We returned some skill people offensively, and Devin being the main guy that comes back. DeMel Bell, Michael Cole, Clazier, a lot of guys that had a lot of experience. Ramon Bradley, JT Turner, but we had to rebuild the O-line. So it's been a lot of things that have, this team's kind of been a work in progress. And I was really smart and went out there and scheduled with Tumpka right off the bat.
I saw that.
Game one. You know, but I think it did us a lot of good because we kind of went into a fire and we fought and we battled, and I saw a lot of positives about our kids. And I think that's the thing I'm most proud of. Our guys give us maximum effort. They play really hard. And that's something that you take a lot of pride in as a coach.
You know, we were just talking with CJ Young. It's his first time playing in a Daphne Fairhope game. You know this rivalry from a Pirate standpoint. What does, like we said, it's not a region game, but what does this game mean to the Fairhope Pirates?
Right now it's competition. You know, that's what we feed off of. We feed off competition. Like Coach said, he scheduled with Tonka right off the back. So like when we heard about that, you know, it felt like them being the 6A runner-up, you know, shows how much work we got to put in to face a team like that. So the rivalry of this game, you know, just got to keep fighting, keep pushing.
You know, there's a lot of positions on the football field, but there's only one guy that gets to play quarterback. And I say gets to play like it's this great privilege, but also a lot of responsibility. Now, as a senior, you're having a great season. Talk about what goes into your preparation to not just play well yourself, but, you know, what are your responsibilities to everybody around you?
Just to make everybody better. You know, I went to an event earlier this month. I think Coach Gene Simmons, coached at Bama a while, and he told us the definition of being a leader. He was like, the definition of being a leader is to make somebody else better, but also make them do something uncomfortable that they're not used to doing, and that helps together. So that's why I put him, you know, that's where my efforts come in as team leader, team captain, to make everybody better, get them pushing, and, you know, make them do stuff uncomfortable, so we can be a better team as a whole. You know, that's a great, I mean, it's good to hear a 17-year-old young man talk about that, because it's one of those life lessons in football, but I don't care if it's at the work or what you're trying to do or working out, like, until you are a little uncomfortable, you never grow until you face a challenge and get a little uncomfortable, no matter what you're doing.
Absolutely, and he carries that kind of weight as the leader of our football team. And when he says something to you, the guys take it to heart. And they try to improve upon it. You know, a lot of guys could yell and fuss and they wouldn't have a lot of legitimacy. Devin does. I mean, because he's a servant leader, he's very humble, he's going to lead by example. And because of that, when he does talk to a guy who might be a junior or a sophomore and says, hey man, you got to pick it up. Your practice effort's not what we need to be a championship team, they listen. And it's a little different when, I'm very fortunate as a coach, when I got that kind of a leader, you know, it just makes it easy for us. We're Xing and Oing and scheming a little bit, and, you know, they're kind of getting the flow and the management of the day and helping us with that. And he's been nothing but great. When he was a freshman, we had about 3 guys working at quarterback. He separated himself through a competition, and he does not shy away from being the man. You know, he's been in some big moments and played well for us. And, you know, that's just what is special about this team, is to have him back, and then we're able to grow the other guys and mature them as the year goes along.
I think one thing that just jumps out, right, like the sincerity when you say something, because it's, you know, everybody talks about being a leader or whatever, but most people can see right through it, again, no matter where you're at. Talk about this Daphne team as you look at the film, where they're at this year, growing as a team. Like we said to Lev Holly, like, okay, so Kenny's got a young quarterback. You got some young guy. Like, nobody's sending sympathy cards to the other coaches saying, oh, you know, so young. So what do you see when you throw on the film of the Daphne Trojans?
Physical, fast, well coached, play together. I mean, just all those key intangibles, and that's what makes it fun to play in. I mean, you know, you're going against a great football team that's well coached. The kids are worked hard. Kenny and I actually we talk about certain things in the off season, and he'll bounce some stuff off me. I'll bounce some stuff off him. I have a great deal of respect for him. Saw him as a player. Now I'm getting to see him as a coach. And he put a pretty good thumping on us the first year he was there as the head coach. And you know, we wanted to battle. And at that time, we were kind of building our program, and so we liked the competitive nature of this game. It's a tremendous challenge. I mean, there's not been a lot of sleep-filled nights for me this week, because they are explosive in so many areas. And again, they do a great job of diversifying the ball on offense, coming after you on defense. I mean, there's just so many things to contend with, but that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, and that's why you're coaching down here.
That's right. That's exactly right.
It's going to be fun.
All right, Devin, great to see you. Be safe out there tonight. Coach, stay here. We'll come back and wrap things up with you and Kenny as we play Bren in, Bren out, which is part of the sleeplessness that Coach has been dealing with this week. It comes up after this. We're about 10 minutes from kickoff tonight. It's Daphne and Fairhope right here on UTV 44. About ready to kick this one off tonight in Fairhope. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, got our 2 coaches back, Kenny King and Coach Tim Carter here from the...
Keeping them separated.
Yes, yeah, because you can tell the
a lot of tension.
Please hold him back.
Yeah. It was so funny. Like, I was talking with CJ Young before we started, and I said, you know, Coach King looks like he could still get out there and play. And CJ says, yeah, he tries to chase us around out there on the field a little bit. I said, does he ever catch you? No, sir.
Chase is one thing. Yeah, you don't want to get, you get chased by Kenny, but don't get caught by Kenny.
I'd be like Eddie Murphy, talking big but backing up.
I thought one thing, and we talked a little bit about the coaching fraternity last week with Coach McDaniel and Coach Lev Holly here. And I thought, like, you were talking about the fact you knew Kenny, saw him as a player growing up and now as a coach. And it's like, I could just see, like, looking at Kenny, like, you remembering what it was like to be early in your head coaching career and the challenges that you have and how do you deal with that thing. I just imagine those are probably some of the off-season conversations that take place.
Well, absolutely. I can remember when I was lost and as a head coach. I mean, you get hit by so many different things and things you really hadn't, maybe you've seen a head coach do, but you just weren't having to do them. And, you know, it's different. And, you know, every once in a while he may ask me something. I'll just, you know, because I want to see guys succeed. I've been fortunate enough to stay in this game, and here I am late in my career, and there's always somebody hopefully that can help you out, and there's a guy, because there's guys that have helped me out.
Sure.
So,
all right, here we go. Bren in, Bren out. So let's see. And if you haven't seen this, go to YouTube. Jimmy Fallon and Kevin Hart made some great TV magic this week with Robert Irwin bringing animals on the show. Jimmy was especially uneasy holding a tarantula. Dan Brennan. Dan Brennan holding a big fluffy spider.
Okay, Brent out.
How about you?
Out.
Brent out.
Yeah, I don't think
This guy lived in Arizona. He had him walking around the property.
I understand. Let's see. USA Today listed the weirdest jobs in every state this week. Yeah. In Alabama, it was being a bounty hunter. Dan Brennan, the radio career goes down the tube. You pull off being a bounty hunter.
Don't think I have the fortitude for such work.
Oh, I'm Brennan.
I can't grow the hair like dogs. I'm out.
Good.
I don't know that it's a prerequisite.
All right, and because you're from Arizona, this is the next question. In Arizona, I mean, worked out there, played out there. Being a bingo manager is the weirdest job.
I can do that.
I can do bingo manager.
No.
I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I think this is where the broadcasting career could ultimately
G27.
Go. All right. Story on Delish.com this week listed 5 reasons why you shouldn't eat ramen noodles. Ramen noodles, Dan Brennan.
Out.
Oh, yeah.
In.
Oh, in.
Yeah.
All day.
I'm out.
Out? Oh, yeah. No, I'm in on those.
Cornbread.
Also said there's a new 22-minute rock opera extolling the benefits of drinking milk.
Okay.
Drinking a glass of milk, Dan Brennan.
Sure. Yeah.
No, not without cereal.
Yeah.
Yeah, milk and Oreos.
Oh, I'm out. Kickoff comes up next. It's Daphne and Fairhope tonight right here on UTV 44 from Fairhope.